Well, complaints are piling up over the city's plans to reduce traffic lanes to make more space for bike lanes. In West Baltimore, residents say the move is putting their lives in danger. Fox 45's Jeff Abel shows us how the city is responding.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. If you look at the street right now, the traffic is backed all the way back there.
For those heading west,
it's congested, it's taking forever.
Gwynns Falls Parkway,
look, it's all the way back beyond Hanlon Park,
is lately no way to travel.
That's 3 blocks down.
The backups began 3 months ago when the city reduced this 2-lane road to 1 lane and with the additional space created a parking lane. Problem is, when the parking lane fills and the traffic lane clogs, there is no lane to deal with an emergency.
How can a fire truck, any fire truck, get through here? How can an ambulance get through here?
It creates a congestion that is unnerving and unnecessary.
That's why I thought it was really important for us to all come together.
At a virtual meeting this week, city transportation officials told residents that the redesign of this road is for the safety of those on the road.
Trying to reduce crashes, trying to keep neighbors who are driving through there from bringing crashes, trying to keep your cars from being hit.
Transportation officials couldn't answer how many crashes had actually taken place on the road, but when a crisis does call, residents who live here predict their lives will be in jeopardy.
Someone is going to die when the emergency vehicles cannot get through.
It can no longer be used for emergency vehicles. I mean, you all concede that point.
I'm not responding to that question.
This is becoming a bit of a divisive issue.
Residents complain that the city redesigned the road without community input and without a study researching its feasibility.
I'm really shocked at that in a way, even for the city.
Gene Simmers, a retired state highway engineer, says a drastic change with limited input is a recipe for problems.
The engineers are reporting from an office downtown, but the citizens in the neighborhoods, they're there. They know what the problems are. For a bureaucrat downtown who might not even has taken a trip to the neighborhood, it shows a lack of community interest and of the situation in the neighborhoods.
For now, the city is standing behind its design, but residents are standing in fear, worried that when the next crisis calls, first responders could be the last to arrive.
We are not satisfied with the fact that DOT is not doing anything to correct the wrong that they've done. Thank you all.
Jeff Abel.
Amen to that.
Fox 45 News.
This morning during a budget forum, Mayor Brandon Scott telling residents that the city will have to make some difficult decisions this year. Scott saying budgets are a reflection of priorities. He says his focus is on education and recreations and parks. The mayor telling residents the budget will reflect his administration's goal to correct historical wrongs that have impacted neighborhoods.
More harmful to young people. Platforms have been taking steps to address concerns. On Thursday, Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, added measures to protect minors from unwanted direct messages. And coming soon, a parental control for teens with supervised accounts if they want to change a setting.
Like who can message them, what their privacy of their account is, what their sensitive content control setting is. To anything more open, their parent is going to have to approve that.
Meta tells us it's not commenting directly on Mayor Adams's remarks, but said the use of the word addiction is often political, not scientific, and pointed us to their other safety features they say directly refute claims its platforms are dangerous. like help alerts for self-harm and eating disorders. Meta also facing a lawsuit brought by New Mexico's Attorney General, arguing Facebook and Instagram put minors in physical danger, alleging human traffickers searched Facebook for attractive young girls and sent them messages telling them that they were pretty and asking if they would like to make some money. Meta also tells us they work with the authorities to root out predators on their sites. We're certain to hear more next week when top tech CEOs testify before a Senate panel. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
Amazon's Ring is shutting down its video sharing program that's popular with law enforcement. It will no longer let police and other government agencies request doorbell camera video directly from users within the company's Neighbors app. Instead, authorities seeking videos must now submit a formal legal request to the company. The decision follows criticisms and concerns from privacy advocates over the feature and the company's partnership with police departments across the U.S. So far, Ring has not commented on the feature being removed. Still ahead, a Maryland mother suing the federal government after her daughter was killed, while she says the Department of Homeland Security could have prevented her death. Now, Project Baltimore investigation finds a 15-year-old convicted rapist is attending a Baltimore City public school. The calls tonight for tougher restrictions on juvenile offenders.
I'm Wyatt Everhart. A cool and breezy night in progress, and yes, the rain is moving in. This system is going to bring the rain, soaking rains into the morning hours, maybe some low-lying spots flooding a little bit, and then we've got the game. We're talking about showers and chilly conditions. All those details after this break.
Earlier this week, a Project Baltimore investigation found that a 15-year-old convicted rapist was attending a Baltimore City public school. The report sparking outrage, with many questioning why parents at Patterson High School were not notified about the student. However, under current state laws, some juvenile sex offenders are allowed to be in class with other students.
They should be able to say, this is a serious sex offense. Let's keep the child out of school until we can really make some stronger protections and make sure our other students are safe.
Now, parents and victims are sharing similar concerns, saying Maryland's criminal justice system doesn't provide enough protection for victims and the general public. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor spoke with legal experts about the changes they want to see.
Yeah, time and time again, victims are telling Fox 45 that DJS isn't doing enough to hold their attackers accountable. It's leaving them to live in fear while their offenders walk free, a problem that legal experts tell me is up to lawmakers to solve.
I wouldn't wish what we have gone through on my worst enemy.
Fearing for her daughter's safety, a Baltimore mother shielding her identity as she sounds the alarm on a juvenile justice system she says failed to protect her child and others.
This juvenile offender is allowed to continue to live his life completely normal.
According to court documents, her child's 15-year-old convicted rapist legally allowed to return to class at Patterson High School without notifying parents and students.
The court pretty much gave him a slap on the wrist. There was no justice for my child.
He tackled me and then punched me in the head and I got kicked.
3 months ago, another victim of violence speaking out.
I was afraid I was going to get shot because you just don't know, you know?
Surveillance video capturing a brazen attack in Butchers Hill. A woman assaulted and robbed. Police later arresting a 12 and 14-year-old who they say attempted to steal the woman's car. Just 2 hours later, the victim claiming a DJS supervisor calling to tell her the suspects had been released.
The law, I'm pissed off at the law.
Frustrations echoed by police and prosecutors across the state.
They come in, we can't detain them, they're back in the community the next day.
Our problem is the system, and the laws just aren't working.
The message that the Department of Juvenile Services is sending youthful offenders is that you will not be held if you commit violent crime.
According to local attorney Jeremy Eldridge, under the new juvenile justice reform laws, DJS's newfound authority to release young offenders instead of referring all cases to a judge or the state's attorney is what's repeatedly leading to a lack of accountability.
It used to be, under the prior administration, that if an individual was charged with a firearms offense as a juvenile, that they were automatically held. And with this new law, it took away the state's attorney's ability to come in and say, I disagree with the DJS decision to not prosecute and to divert the case.
Recent DJS decisions raising red flags for the state's attorney include an 11-year-old arrested 13 times for stealing cars. Officers writing, due to his age, he was released without charge.
There's nothing the law will allow us to do to hold them accountable, and they're doing whatever they want.
And in the case of 18-year-old Tristan Jackson, who's facing nearly 60 counts of attempted murder and gun charges in connection to the city's worst mass shooting in history, a DJS representative present as public defenders requested Jackson be transferred to a juvenile facility.
I've talked to other criminal defense attorneys who looked at this and, I mean, jaws hit the floor.
Local attorney and activist Eurypsy Morgan arguing the leniency of DJS leadership sets a dangerous precedent.
There's no reason that the residents should be the ones that are afraid. It should be the criminals who are afraid of getting in trouble. But there is this massive disconnect, and it is making residents less safe.
Both Eldridge and Morgan warning, until the laws are amended to reinstate clear consequences, the consequence of rising juvenile crime will continue to be felt statewide.
And those new juvenile justice reform laws took effect in June of last year. Already since then, both police and prosecutors reporting historically high juvenile crime across the city. Reporting from the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi has faced backlash for his views on juvenile crime, which some say represent a public safety risk. An Inspector General's report found that while Schiraldi was working in D.C. back in 2008, he invited kids from a maximum security prison over to his house for a cookout. Now, none of those juveniles were handcuffed or restrained in any way. And according to a report, one escaped from his basement and was on the run for almost a month.
You can't sit down with these juveniles and have cupcakes and crumpets and milk. I mean, many of these juveniles, they're more astute and more dangerous than adults.
And Mayor Bowser from D.C. was then serving on the city council. She had pointed words after that inmate escape. She says she wants youth to aspire to something other than a life behind bars, but we must remember that they're still inmates. Giraldi also oversaw Rikers Island while working as New York City Corrections Commissioner before coming here to Maryland. His colleagues there also raised concerns about his leadership. You can find their comments online at foxbaltimore.com. Concerns over school safety were front and center at Baltimore City Hall earlier this week. Students voiced their fears on both crimes surrounding schools and the number of guns being brought into the classroom.
We can have more security surrounding the school, or at least by the school. I can feel more safe while I'm in school or not in school.
And officials from the City State's Attorney's Office, the Department of Juvenile Services, the Baltimore Police Department, and Baltimore City Schools CEO Sonia Santelises were all in attendance. Fox 45 pressed Santelises for answers on how she's working to secure the classrooms and improve student safety.
We are working on and have done a lot of work on cameras and weapons detection. We're also actively recruiting school police officers because we know that a lot of the challenges are also right outside the school building or up into the school building.
The council also questioned Santelises on the efforts to replace the retiring chief of police of city schools, Akil Ham. When asked if she had consulted with BPD on his replacement, she says it's an ongoing process the school system is working on. The family of a 20-year-old woman allegedly killed by an MS-13 gang member is now suing the federal government. Kayla Hamilton's mother argues her daughter's killer never should have been in the country. Fox 45's Jessica Babb has taken a closer look at the family's push for accountability.
She had high-functioning autism. She was a sweetheart. She was very happy and had a great outlook on life.
But just days after turning 20, police say a suspect broke into her Aberdeen room, raped and strangled her. A House Judiciary Committee report says the suspect was 16 years old and was allowed to enter the U.S.